While exploring a path rarely used by others, a group of hikers noticed something strange. A huge structure that looked like a nest sitting in an open area. It was too big and too well made to be built by any animal they knew. As they got closer, the silence of the wilderness was broken by a weak human voice coming from inside the nest, saying, "Help me." This surprising find quickly changed their casual hike into a rescue operation. Before you watch, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss another touching story like this one, and write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Tyler, Jordan, Emma, and Sophia, dark figures against the early morning sky, met at the start of the trail, their breath visible in the cold air mixing with the soft colors of sunrise. They were excited about their monthly hiking tradition as they checked their equipment, prepared for the day ahead. "This way," Sophia said, pointing to a less used path that curved through dry wilderness. Her suggestion created mixed feelings. Tyler seemed interested. Jordan looked uncertain, and Emma's face showed doubt. "Trust me," Sophia said with a smile, her confidence not affected by her friend's different reactions. As the first sunlight spread a golden shine across the land, the group started walking. The trail ahead curved through gentle hills surrounded by the wild beauty of the wilderness. The early light felt like it promised new things to find, pushing them forward into the day. While they walked, the friends talked, their voices mixing with the fresh morning air. Sophia, walking in front, often looked back to make sure her friends were having a good time. She told stories about the wilderness, trying to keep everyone happy and show that choosing this less-traveled path was a good idea. Little by little, the special beauty of the wilderness started to show itself. Sunlight came through scattered trees, making spotted patterns on the ground. "It's different, but pretty," Emma admitted, her earlier doubts disappearing. The others agreed, their initial hesitation turning into appreciation for Sophia's decision. "Look at that view," Sophia called out, her voice full of excitement as she pointed to a far-off ridge covered in sunlight. Her excitement spread to the others, and soon they were all enjoying what she was showing them, watching every movement she made. Sophia led the way, pointing out different birds and small animals that ran through the bushes, making their trip feel more amazing. As they continued, the group happily talked about their earlier hikes. "Remember the waterfall we discovered last summer?" Jordan said with a fond smile. Each memory created laughter and made them feel more connected. The calmness of the wilderness started to surround them. The normal sounds of a thick forest weren't there, replaced by a peaceful quiet that felt almost magical. "It's so calm here," Emma said quietly, her voice almost a whisper, as if trying not to disturb the peace. The easier nature of this trail, compared to their previous harder hikes, was a nice change. As the sun rose higher, the landscape changed. Shadows got shorter, and the wilderness seemed to fully wake up. The group stopped often, amazed by the beautiful views and the bright colors of the waking day. With each step, they felt more adventurous. "I wonder what's past that curve," Tyler said, looking forward with curiosity in his eyes. The path, rarely traveled and full of secrets, suggested more things to discover as they went deeper into the wilderness. Tyler, who had been looking at the distance, suddenly stopped. "Do you see that?" he asked, pointing to an odd shape far away. The others came together, squinting in the sunlight. There, sitting among some trees, was a strange formation that stood out clearly against the natural surroundings, making them all curious. "Could it be some kind of huge nest?" Emma asked out loud, her forehead wrinkled in thought. The group moved closer together, each one guessing. "It's too large for any bird I've heard of," Sophia added, her voice showing interest. The weird structure, visible but mysterious, created lots of ideas and guesses among the friends. Curious, they decided to go toward the mysterious shape. With each step, the structure became clearer, but what it was remained unclear. The path they picked went through thicker plants, their sense of adventure growing as they got closer to discovering the mystery. As they approached, the size and complexity of the nest became more obvious. It was different from anything they had seen before, a maze of branches and materials carefully woven together. The group stopped, taking in the sight, the strangeness of the structure creating both amazement and uncertainty in their hearts. The nest, now the main focus of their hike, started a flood of questions and theories. "What if it's some type of art piece?" Jordan suggested, his eyes following the structure's shape. "Or perhaps a shelter," Sophia wondered, her eyes fixed on the mysterious formation. Their discussion was full of excitement and curiosity, the mystery of the nest connecting them in a shared search for answers. The group arrived at the bottom of the nest, immediately amazed by its enormous size and the detailed way it was built. It rose above them, a tangle of branches and mysterious materials, definitely not made by any animal they knew. They walked around the structure in wonder, trying to understand why it was in the middle of the wilderness. "Could someone really have made this?" Jordan asked, his voice showing doubt. "Or maybe it's something abandoned, left behind," Tyler wondered, looking at the materials carefully. Emma, though, stayed quiet, her eyes studying the nest with careful interest. Too curious to be careful, Sophia moved forward, her hand reaching toward the mysterious structure. "Wait, Sophia," Emma said, worry in her voice. "We don't know what it is, or if it's dangerous." Sophia paused, her hand hanging in the air, caught between curiosity and the worry in Emma's voice. A silence came over the group as they thought about the nest's possible dangers. The atmosphere grew tense with unspoken fears. What was inside this mysterious structure? Emma's face showed the worry that had started in each of them, the excitement of discovery now mixed with a bit of fear. They were about to step away when Sophia stopped, her head tilted as if listening. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. The others stopped, trying hard to hear. From deep inside the nest, a weak, barely noticeable voice came out saying, "Help me." The words floated in the air, ghostly and frightening, keeping them in place with a mix of shock and worry. "I'm certain there's someone in there," Sophia said, her eyes wide with both fear and determination. She asked the others to stay quiet and listen. The group came close together, holding their breath in anticipation. "It might just be the wind," Jordan suggested, trying to explain it logically. "Or maybe some animal," Tyler added, though his voice didn't sound sure. Despite their doubt, there was a feeling of curiosity and worry underneath. Emma also seemed unsure but stayed focused, her eyes locked on the nest as if trying to see through its secrets. Then, as if answering their doubt, the voice came again, clearer now, a sad "help me," coming from deep in the nest. This time, they couldn't deny it. The voice was clearly human. A shiver went through the group as the truth started to become real. The idea that someone might be stuck inside the nest changed their curiosity into worry. "We can't just leave them," Emma said, urgency in her voice. The group looked at each other, each face showing a mix of fear and determination. The fun of their hike had been replaced by a serious sense of duty. "We have to investigate," Sophia said firmly, her determination now showing in her friends' faces. Agreeing with nods, they came closer to the nest with a new goal, united in their mission. The group walked around the huge nest, looking for any gap or entrance. Their hands touched the rough surface, pushing away twigs and leaves, but the nest's construction was thick and impossible to get through. Frustration started to build as they realized the structure didn't have an obvious way in, its secrets protected behind a maze of tightly woven branches. As they searched, quiet whispers came occasionally from the nest, each cry for help more urgent than before. The air around the nest seemed to vibrate with a mysterious energy, pushing them to work faster. "We could try to take it apart, piece by piece," Tyler suggested, though he sounded uncertain. "But what if that hurts whoever's inside?" Emma argued, her worry clear. The whispers from inside the nest renewed their determination. Their hands worked constantly, pulling at the softer sections. "What if one of us tries climbing to the top?" Tyler suggested, looking at the nest's tall height. "Or we could start taking off some of these outer branches," Jordan proposed, examining the nest's thick exterior. The voice from inside the nest got quieter, its cries becoming less frequent. After discussion, they agreed on a careful but firm plan. They would begin by gently taking off parts of the nest's outer layer, working carefully to avoid causing any possible harm. Each person in the group took a spot around the nest, ready to start the delicate work. With a shared look of determination, they began to take apart the nest piece by piece, committed to solving the mystery inside. As they went deeper, the complexity of how the nest was built became more obvious. Sometimes, quiet voices would come from deep in the nest, pushing their efforts forward. Despite their constant efforts, the center of the nest stayed out of reach. Tyler, watching their slow progress, suggested a new idea. "Maybe we should separate," he suggested. "Some of us could go back for better tools or supplies." "What if something happens while we're separated?" Emma expressed her worry, showing the same concern in Sophia's eyes. After much thinking, they reached an agreement. Despite their concerns, they understood they needed the right equipment to safely get into the nest. "Okay, let's do it," Sophia finally agreed, her voice showing reluctance. Jordan, however, still had doubts. "Are you sure you'll be all right here without us?" he asked. The thought of leaving Emma and Sophia alone near the mysterious nest bothered him. After quick preparations, Tyler and Jordan started back down the trail, their steps fast and urgent. Emma and Sophia watched them go into the wilderness, a mix of worry and determination coming over them as they turned back to the nest. With determination, Jordan opened his small pocket knife and started to carefully cut into the outer layer of the nest. The job was challenging. The knife seemed almost useless against the nest's strong structure. Tyler, watching their efforts, expressed a growing understanding. "This might be more than just a physical wall," he said thoughtfully. But then they made a small opening in the nest. Their persistence finally worked as they removed enough layers to create an opening. Looking inside, they saw an amazing sight: a small, colorful parrot sitting inside. The bird's bright feathers were very different from the dark inside of the nest. For a moment, they could only stare in disbelief at this unexpected discovery. The parrot turned its head, looking at them with curious eyes, and then, to their complete amazement, it spoke in a clear, human-like voice. "Help me," it said again, the same cry they had heard before. The group looked at each other in shock, trying to understand the unreal reality that the voice asking for help had been this parrot the whole time. A silence came over the group as they took in this discovery. How could a parrot copy human speech so perfectly? The mystery of the nest had moved into the realm of the extraordinary. Getting their composure back, they carefully reached into the nest to get the parrot. Sophia gently held the bird in her hands, making sure it wasn't hurt. They knew they needed to bring it to a wildlife shelter where it could get proper care and maybe find its way back to its real owner. What had begun as a normal hike had turned into something they never could have expected. With the parrot safely in Sophia's backpack, the hikers made their way back through the forest. When they reached an area with a cell phone signal, they immediately called the local wildlife authorities, who asked them to bring the parrot to a nearby shelter. The wildlife shelter staff gathered around, amazed by the bird's bright colors and its remarkable ability to speak like a human. One of the staff carefully examined the ring on the parrot's foot and announced that the bird was registered and had an owner. The owner had been searching for their missing parrot for weeks. When the owner arrived at the shelter, their face was bright with emotion. The moment the parrot saw its owner, it became animated, calling out phrases and sounds that clearly showed recognition. The owner's eyes filled with tears as they gently took the bird into their arms. "I thought I'd lost you forever," the owner whispered, their voice breaking with emotion. The parrot nuzzled against them, repeating soft words that only they seemed to understand. The hikers watched the reunion, deeply moved by the scene unfolding before them. They felt a deep sense of accomplishment, knowing their efforts had brought a loved pet back to its owner. The bond between the parrot and its owner was undeniable, filling the room with warmth. As the day ended, the hikers took a moment to reflect on their incredible journey. What started as a simple hike had become an adventure they would never forget. With a new appreciation for the unexpected mysteries of nature, they knew that the trails would always hold more surprises and lessons for them. Did you enjoy this story? If you heard a mysterious voice calling for help from inside a giant nest in the middle of nowhere, would you go closer to investigate? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.